Hello to everyone joining us today for the recorded version of our KraftHaus Virtual Open House. I'm here with Edie Dillman, CEO of B.Public Prefab, and Bronwyn Berry, who is our wonderful designer of this lovely pre-designed plan for B.Public's Be Home collection. Today we're kind of gonna get into it and have these ladies talk about the design and how it works with B.Public prefab panels. And we'll have some audience members ask some questions. So if you're watching the recording, welcome. I'm going to put it on pause until we've got everybody in the room, and we will restart the recording then.
Now we get to.
All right, we're ready to get started. And today we are going to hear from Edie and Bronwyn about KraftHaus. I'm going to go ahead and share. Tell me if you guys can't see it. We good?
Yep.
All right, take it away, ladies.
Welcome. Bronwyn, thank you for being here. We'll do some intros, but this is really exciting to share your beautiful design for uh, specifically rebuilding in LA, but I have lots of locations I would like to put the craft house. I think it's really adaptable for across the US. And this is your second collab with us, joining the Sustain House, which is totally different, and we'll show that at the very end for those who haven't seen it. Um, but this is the first that we're really digging in and walking through the plans with you, and really excited. Lots of people RSVP'd and wanting to hear and see more. Um, will you click one? For those who don't know, our collabs program is really dear to my heart, and I think a really kind of core program here at B.Public of working with some of the best architects, I think, in the country, and offering standardized plans thoughtfully work through with B.Public and with the designer so that we can offer standard plans that are at a much higher level than some of the things that you might see online. And it is definitely not a click and download PDF program. These are full architectural plans that will be applied to your site, and we're looking at optimizing at all times and working on high performance foundation details for your project. So it's not like the Amazon of buying a home plan. It really is by working through the collab program, you would get to work with Bronwyn and you would get to work with the B.Public team to see your version of the craft house come to life. So it's a great program, and we're continuing to add to it. So stay tuned for more beautiful plans from Bronwyn and others. Bronwyn, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Edie. And it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to have another project with the B.Public team. My name is Bronwyn Barry. I am the principal and founder of Passive House BB. I am a practicing architect based in San Francisco, where I have been pretty much doing passive house projects exclusively since 2011. And I'm really proud of a lot of the projects I've done. I have collaborated pretty closely in my early days doing passive house, worked directly with a builder, and we packaged our designs as a design build team. And since Alan at One Sky Homes retired, I've had a real fun time working with a bunch of different contractors. And now I see the B.Public team as my next fab collaboration team, and shifting all of my designs over into prefabricated wall assemblies. So this particular design that I'm working on, that we're presenting today, is a real an kind of a hybrid of a couple of projects that I've designed over the years, and I'm really excited to bring it to the prefab space because building custom stick frame site built is is flexible, but it also comes with a load of challenges that I'm really excited about shifting into the prefab world to take a lot of the stress of high performance building out of the hands of the site builder and bake it into the wall panels so that it's all done off-site and the headaches of the the airtightness assemblies, all the pre-engineered insulation, pre-engineered structural framing, all of that stuff is front-loaded for the owners and the on-site contractor to just be able to put it together and finish out the interior and move in. So, um, I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited about this particular design. I think it's going to be a really accessible one for many people. And Edie is going to now show you a little bit more about that. And I am here to answer all your questions and really hear from you guys what you're looking for in this plan and here to help work with you guys. So I'll hand back over to Edie for that.
Thank you, Bronwyn. And we have all been working in and around Passive House for a long time. I think you and my co-founder Jonah met in what, 2008?
Yep.
2009. So these are the OGs of Passive House in the US. We're not going to talk a whole lot about the system today. We can do follow-ups on the B.Public panelized system. But what's really interesting in this is we've worked with Bronwyn as she's developed this plan so that we've thought through the assembly, thought through the structural elements that would be required for this design in particular. And so we're bringing our expertise in that perfect envelope for a much faster build and to that Passive House or high performance assurance level. Recently, we've had some pretty astounding airtightness blower door reports from the field of folks who've never done Passive House before who are just nailing it with the B.Public system right off the bat before any finishes go in. Just windows, doors, and B.Public panelized, and they're at like a 0.31. What did Seth get? He had got a 0.007.
Yep.
And he's not a Passive House builder. That's the kind of assurance that we want to be able to offer so that projects are successful, but also so you don't spend 2 weeks chasing down air leakage when it's so critical to just get onto those finishes and get home. So that's all I'm going to say here. Happy to answer more questions later on the B.Public system. This home is designed with the R30 wall and an R35 roof. Is that correct, Bronwyn?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So it is designed for warmer climates.
Yeah. And we do have even some little flexibility in that too. The roof can get thicker if we want to get it outside of the California climate zone. And I know we've been talking with your tech team. We could also do the roof a little thinner because I have baked in some structural beams that's sort of mid-span supports that allow us to go for a slightly thinner roof assembly as well for warmer climates. So there's lots of flexibility baked in, but I've been enjoying working with the B.Public tech team to sort of literally push the envelope on what's possible. So
that's
yeah.
why we like working with architects, especially those who know what performance means. You guys ask for more. You push us in the R&D, and it's really good, creative. It makes the company grow. Mariana, will you click us forward? And we'll jump into this. You know, Bronwyn, I'll let you step into this, but it is hard to describe KraftHaus by number of bedrooms because there's so much flexibility designed into that. So I think we'll talk about that as we're looking at floor plans, but I don't know if I would necessarily call it a 4-bedroom. It's like a 5-bedroom, or it's a 3-bedroom and garage and an office. Like it has so much flexibility built in. So will you describe it's
Sure.
yeah.
So, this house came out of the design thinking that I've done for a house in Sacramento, which Edie showed on my intro slide deck, and it is on my website. But effectively, this house is a 3-bed, 2-bath lower floor and a 2-bed, 2-bath upper floor. And the flexibility, the lower floor can be made actually into a 4-bed, 2-bath, depending on in office, all these things that you can change. Or the whole thing can be lived in as one very big house with 5 bedrooms or 6 bedrooms, or you can duplex it. So you can, and this flexibility is really easily done by just literally shutting off one door and making a 2-bed, 2-bath unit upstairs and a 3-bed, 2-bath unit downstairs. And literally by opening and closing that door, that's all you need to do to change that configuration. And we can go into that a little bit more once we get into the details. So why don't you carry on, Edie?
Well, and I think we'll click through the views we have and go to the floor plans. So this is um, the back, so that's the reverse, the front, and there's actually 2 versions of the front that we'll talk about in the layout. And of course,
So if you click onto that view right there, that's the side entrance that gives you access to the upper, it's either comes straight into the back of the kitchen as a mudroom, or it goes up the stairs. And this would be this if you did want to, turn this into a two unit or duplex, this would be the entrance for the upstairs unit. So want to click onto the floor plan. Wonderful. So, I should really open up this a little bit more by saying, the inspiration is obviously a craftsman house, California bungalow. It's a real classic style that has been, used all over California. But I really wanted to update that. So the styling is definitely modern, but the form is craftsman. And of course, we're bringing in all the modern insulation, performance, comfort. Fire resilience was definitely also a very core part of how the assemblies and the materials that were chosen for this, and will be also baked into all the detailing. It's something that I'm pretty adamant about providing for all my clients these days, because I say to everybody, everywhere in California these days is a fire zone, so we should plan for it and build accordingly. So just to walk you through this, and Edie, feel free to point the pointer or move it around. At the front porch, a nice recessed porch at the entry there, allow you to still have a nice bench there and be able to sit out and be friendly with the neighbors. I love the front porch. It was an integral part of the craftsman design. And you walk in to a big room that can be either a sitting room or a dining room. Which has a vestibule off to the left, giving you access to 2 bedrooms and a bathroom right off that front room. And then you can see to the right is the access to the garage. You would step up into the living space from the garage. You then walk through to the larger sort of great room open space at the back. So the kitchen is kind of, you would pass through the kitchen, and then there's that seating area where the pointer is now. There is room for another dining room, a smaller dining room in front of the sliding doors that step out to the back porch. But I'm showing it and in this rendering the dining room in the front. It's a design layout that I used in the Sunnyvale 2 house that is also on my website. A very simple bungalow renovation that I did quite a number of years ago. The primary suite is off of that area, the living space, the main sort of open living space, and that has a walk-in closet and a bathroom with a separate toilet room, so off to the left at the back there, but a really nice ensuite primary bedroom that has all the amenity without much wasted space. The other little feature on this design that I wanted to call out is there's sort of off of the kitchen, you can see the pantry space, which backs up to the shower in that first bathroom. But the next deeper closet that sort of opens onto the living room is another design that I used in that Sunnyvale 2 house, where I created a home office space that you literally tuck behind a big, nice sliding door. And it's deep enough for a really nice desk with a laptop and a chair could tuck in to that bigger closet off of the main living
Not there.
space.
There?
Little
No.
bit, no, off of it's between the living space and the primary bedroom. Sort of a deep closet with a sliding door. Right
Oh,
there,
that one. Oh,
exactly. So that's another really sweet little, very space optimizing feature that I've used. Again, it was a feature I used in my Sunnyvale 2 floor plan, which was 1,500 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath. And that was the home office. So it just was a really nice, discreet little space to have things so you can just tuck away and slide the barn door over it. It all goes away when you're finished working. Then if you want to go to the second floor slide, and we can go up the stairs, which come off of that mudroom off the kitchen. And this is where a whole lot of living sits beautifully tucked in underneath the upper roof. So this from the street, the house really does not look like a 2-story, but it lives large because there's lots of area under that nice peaked pitched roof. So you come up, there's a nice storage closet at the top of the stairs, and then I've got a really nice living space off of the front with a walkout balcony that sits over the front porch. And tucked behind that, there's room for that's the front porch there that you can step out deck. So the upper space or unit really also has its own outdoor area in that really nice front deck with a balcony rail overlooks the street front. And then tucked behind that, there's room for a nice little dining seating area and a little efficient kitchen on the right-hand side there. Fridge, sink, and stove really nicely arranged in there. A very optimum little efficient kitchen. And you can see on the left is a really nice ensuite bedroom with a vanity room and tub, a shower toilet room, and then a walk-in closet that's tucked in under the eaves of that sloping roof through the bathroom. And then on the top side, we've also got a sort of another public restroom with a shower, sink, and toilet. and the bedroom beyond looking out that has the dormer window at the back side of the house, looking into the backyard. And the mechanical stuff is all stuffed into that closet in the hallway. So I have all the passive house mechanical equipment will be in one of those two closets um, for distribution and access so that you can get to your ventilation system and change your filters. So those are two key things that I like to make sure are integral into all my house designs. So pretty efficient. Lots of floor space tucked into a footprint that is effectively it's 46 foot wide, and it's the length of this, I believe, is 48 foot and change, to fit a whole lot of living into quite an efficient foundation and panel system. So what do we got on the next slide?
Oops,
the real
oh,
numbers.
we
There we
still
go.
have this. And I love your walkthroughs in your program. If you want to take over and share screen, because we can literally walk through your design and rotate through if you would like. Is anybody
Sure.
interested in doing that? David, Joel, Chris?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So let me grab the screen. I gotta get some permission here. I just sent request for share screen.
We might let you.
Oh, that's good. All right, here, there we go. So can everybody see my screen?
Yep,
You good?
got it.
So straight front, this is my version with the garage. I got a nice walk up to the front porch, and all the materials for this can be modified. We've got lots of material choices, but I'm showing a nice sort of teal color palette here with a corrugated galvanized steel roof, but I'm a big fan of standing seam metal roofs too. So, and I'm showing a kind of a fun railing system here. This was my sort of nod to the Frank Gehry, his own house in LA that he used the diamond rail, the diamond fencing all over his regular bungalow house. So walking through, this is that dining space at the entry with a nice, which can be a closet or a room for a small armoire or what have you over there. The two bedrooms and the bathroom, the public facing bathroom, are off of this. So this is either a bedroom or an office space, but it would be classified as a bedroom since it's got a closet. And the other bedroom is on this side, also with a nice big barn door closet. And the bathroom space is off of that hallway there. Oop, clearly didn't finish out that bathroom. So we'll we'll sneak out of there and go back to the living room. So coming from the entrance down this main hallway into the great room, this is that nice big living space. This is the space that you can use for an additional dining table, but again, the flexibility of this room is core to this whole design. And then this is the kitchen area. I've got a nice galley kitchen here, fridge, sink, stove, very efficient layout. Oh, gone through the walls, sorry. And down that hall is where the mudroom and laundry room sit. So if we go through that, this is where you can have this door be open and have access to the upper floor, or you close that and have this other unit be completely separate. So I'm going to pretend we do have this as a second unit, and we'll come into the side door. There's room for a nice coat rack there, or what have you, cabinets, shelving, however you'd like to finish that off. And then coming up the stairs, a really nice open space with the vaulted, really taking advantage of the ceiling, vaulting that space so you get the advantage of that nice high volume. And this is that really lovely walkout balcony deck for the upper unit. And then tucked behind here, I have a nice little seating area and the efficient kitchen tucked over there. And then if we go to the back side here, that's the closet. And then this is the ensuite bedroom under here. This is very efficiently, the roof is really coming down pretty hard here, but this is still plenty of height for a bed against that wall. And then the bathroom and shower toilet room in here, where I've got the high window really being able to cast light all the way in there. And that is the shower toilet room. And that is the closet space for that bedroom. And then if we zoom and do magic walking through walls, which I love in these things, we come to this bedroom here, which is the dormer wall bedroom. And there's something weird happening with my wall, but just pretend that comes down there. But you can still see the bed. These are nice big king size beds. So lots of space in these rooms, and there's room all along this wall for closets and hanging space. And you can see I've got a couple of beams here. This would be for optimizing the structural assemblies, but we could build it with a deeper roof assembly. So that's the full walkthrough, and we'll fly back out to the street level. And I wanted to show you an alternate option because every lot is a little bit different. This one is a single car garage version. I don't have a version. This is not a 2-car garage design, but for properties that have the room for a driveway along the side yard and a detached garage at the back or at the side of the house, I do have an alternate option where you can make this. Oh, where's my nav bar? Hang on, gotta find the tool. There we go. Where you can turn the garage into a full office space or additional bedroom. So this is that option where I'm turning that front garage into a standalone studio that can be accessed off of this back entrance, and really be a really handy sort of, if you're a professional like myself, why rent office spaces if you can have a really nice office that you can access without everybody having to come through your private living space, but you've got a really nice separate entrance here and a really nice working space off of the front of the house with good visibility on the street. So that's the walkthrough. And I'd be very happy to answer questions or hear from everybody if they have questions or comments.
Thank you, Bronwyn. It's so fun to walk through that. And I love the flexibility.
And it's nice to see some familiar faces. Hey, Chris. Super awesome. You're joining us from Australia.
Yeah, Sydney from a passive house, which is not too dissimilar to your design, actually. Yeah, great to see you again, Bronwyn, and congratulations on this beautiful design. I love the optimization of the space and the flexibility. It's so cool.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Do
Chris.
you have
Anytime you want to build one in Australia, I'm sure we can ship them.
I'm thinking about it.
we have a question in the chat from Tom. Are bath exhausts and range hoods to be added? Where's the HVAC and water heater? And if you want, I can share the plan again. Would you like me to do that? Or
Oh,
do you
sure.
have that question?
I have it. Good questions, Tom. Of course, I thought about that. Here I'm going to show you. Hold on a second. I'm just going to clear out, get rid of the grid reference view so it's nice and clean. Water heater, I have it in the, hold on a second.
Got it.
All right. Can you see my screen? Great. So I have the water heater in the garage. And then in the alternate view, I had created a separate closet with a nice fully vented louvered door. When this gets converted into, if this gets converted into an office, um, absolutely range vent hoods are baked into the design. I mostly do all of my mid-floor assemblies in a 14-inch open web truss so that I can get ducting in and out. And you can duct, the cooktop is here, and I've done this design where you vent the hood directly up here into the soffit and out the side of the house here. Upstairs, my HRV is in this closet right here. So this again, this design, I have softened this whole above the stair area. My ducting can go down there, and my walls, my mid wall and my small walls are all good chases, but this HRV, this floor area is directly accessible to that full open web truss floor assembly, and I distribute all the ventilation through there. So the bathrooms are always on extract and the living rooms are always on supply. So it satisfies all the California ventilation requirements for code compliance.
Great. And you have nice filter access.
Yes, that is always part of what I like to bake into all of my passive house designs. No, not, I've only had one where you had to, access a pull down ladder into the attic to be able to change those filters. Yeah, definitely a very, very important item to consider.
Would this meet an ADU size limit? It'd be great if I could just drop this in my backyard or something.
Probably not, but you can, depends on how big your primary house is. And if that's, you could turn this into the primary residence and make your existing house be the ADU.
Yeah. Oh, well, I like the 2-for-1 idea though. So
yeah, no, that's the idea. If you have a big young family and you need the rooms, you have it all connected, and as you age, you can stay downstairs and rent out the upstairs or have your kids move in upstairs. So it's it's designed to change with whatever needs you have.
I have to say, I do love that addition of the office or the garage.
It just makes
that separate office is really attractive. I know we all love our cars, but okay, we don't really love our cars. We love our bikes, but
well, I'm always a big fan of putting carports out or detached garages because it keeps the bad air out of your living space. It keeps them very detached. But I always tell people, cars have been exactly designed to live outside without any covering, and we spend an enormous amount of money putting a roof over our car, which I often find it just, given the cost of housing these days, I don't know why we're spending that much money and allocating so much square footage to something that is perfectly adapted to living outside without a roof. So my other option for this, though, I wanted to say the single car garage this is a bike storage. I see so many. I live in San Francisco, and I ride a bike myself. That Edie had a lot to do with getting me my nice e-bike. And I see so many families now riding the bigger e-bikes with the two kids that can take the kids to school on the back. And finding a nice place to park that makes so much sense. That's easily, easy pull down, but this should be the bike garage, and the cars can sit on the street in the backyard, or you can, I think in probably in 3 to 5 years time, nobody will have their own cars because everybody will hire the rideshare ones, and you never have to, find space for those things. I think we're way too addicted to vehicles, and that's just my own take on that. But I do live in San Francisco, where it's
I was
all
going to say,
possible.
some of us would have a harder time. Some of us are in the
Yes.
Rockies.
Yep.
No, I think the flexibility is great. Are there other questions?
Yeah, there's a great question right now in chat that actually I think both of you should answer. So this is kind of speaking more to the fact that this is a collab program plan. Tom is asking what the possibilities are for modifying windows and orientation. And so that's a great question, especially when we're talking about panelization, right? So if you guys can, maybe Edie, want to kick off talking about what's possible with the modification panel perspective, and then orientation is kind of a different thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom, I don't know if you're familiar with our closed wall assembly, but we're prefabbing panels for walls, roofs, and sometimes floors. Like this mid floor might be something that we prefab. But we definitely can change the size of openings. The advantage of the pre-designed plans, we can pull in, we'll have the window and door schedule. We can pull in competitive quotes from different high performance manufacturers. That's sort of ready at the go for people to get costing. We are not installing windows in our shop. They're all done on site. We work with a lot of architects who are very opinionated about their window manufacturers, builders who are very opinionated. So we stay out of that. But in terms of the panels themselves are at an 8-foot width standard. So we're looking at optimizing in this plan, working with Bronwyn, of optimizing for the rough openings or for the multiple panels coming together to make those larger openings. So it would be a modification. It wouldn't be pull the shop drawings and the plan set off the shelf and you're ready to go. We'd have to re-engineer if you were doing like a much larger window opening, and we need to look at that header. We need to look at the blocking in that wall. But we certainly can. And I think that's the nice thing about panelization is, it's going to be isolated to that one panel and really address that rough opening. I think it's a great question. I mean, I of course thought of that as well with just the garage door, trading out for other things. Obviously, that section will have options for the assembly set for the panels to accommodate the larger opening versus the window. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I was prompted by the beautiful scenery there and knowing that a lot of designers will optimize the viewscape, to the ocean or whatever, but then you may have to deal with west-facing solar loads and glare and whatever. and you may not be designing the best cross ventilation for when your windows are open. So there's all those things to kind of factor in, and so I imagine you can rotate and modify as needed. So
Well,
So
and maybe
Tom,
Bronwyn, you want to speak to the orientation factor separate from the individual panel adjustment.
yes. So Tom, first of all, moving the windows and changing them, as Edie has subtly mentioned, would be a custom, modification. This design has been very carefully put together where it's my window openings. You can see on this orientation, I've got to deal with not just solar, but I'm in California, we've got seismic loads, so shear panels, all of that. So, I have to make sure these nice spaces, we can't just pop another window in because it it does kick off a re-engineering. The windows and the overhangs were carefully kind of coordinated to provide good shading. This is a California specific design, although it can apply to any other warm climates. And we could probably modify it for a colder climate too by beefing up the wall thickness. What I've done is I'm showing a nice pergola here, and I'm showing that intentionally for solar shading of the door. The bigger, larger window is always much harder to manage solar control. And in warm climates, that is a very key item to control. For orientation, the bigger windows here on this facade are also shaded by the overhang and the deck. But what I've also done on a lot of designs, I'm starting to integrate all the exterior Venetian blinds into my designs, because these are products that we just simply are not using in our marketplace, because we've historically had windows that are outswing windows. Pretty much all my projects are designed for the European tilt and turn windows, which have lots of advantages, including now I'm able to source them locally manufactured. So don't need to import them anymore like I used to, but it gives me all sorts of opportunity to put the exterior shades on, and I'm having a lot of fun designing projects with those. So effectively, Tom, this house can be oriented any which way you want. And which in my Sacramento house, this is the south-facing facade, and this front is the west-facing facade. And I've managed to be able to still be under the overheating limits in my passive house model. It doesn't have nearly this much amount of glazing, but it's effectively a very similar design. And I'm fortunate to have big trees on that particular project that really are giving me the shading. So all considered, and I would say the whole point of prefab, pre-designed, pre-approved designs is that, we're going to give you some opportunity for customization, materials, colors, finishes, but the big moves, I'm pretty adamant about saying no, unless you want to go custom. So we're with the benefit of doing pre-designed plans is we can really help shave off the design fees for you. But as soon as you then say, oh well, I want this window there, then you're in custom territory, and all bets are off.
That's a good segue actually to another question in the chat, Bronwyn, on the subject of the items that are customizable, such as finishes. Joel was asking, can you talk a little bit about exterior wall materials that you recommend, especially with Firewise situation?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, Joel. So what showing a kind of a stucco with a what looks like a cedar wall on this element. This could be a thicker cedar to still meet the the wildland urban interface requirements. So a much chunkier, uh, more resilient fire hardy wood. But what I've done on this project in Sacramento is I used the Hardy shingle board. So it's a cement board product, which is really nice and fire resilient, just to add a little bit of textural interest. The B.Public render that they put on the website shows that as a stucco, the upper part is stucco as well as the main part of the building. And, the roofing material can be all sorts of different materials. I'm showing it as a corrugated metal roof here, just for kind of a fun modern look. Standing seam is my other default metal roof. I really like the resilience, the durability, and the sort of recyclability of those roofs. Australians are also really good at those because they always are required to catch all their roof rainwater, which I think Californians still have a lot to learn from the Australians. And so having a metal roof is also really great for that. I'm not a fan of the asphalt shingle. It is cheap, but it is not pretty environmentally. So this kind of palette is one of my favorites, but it's still within that palette range. Lots of flexibility and opportunity to sort of put your own stamp on this. I've done this in this teal and white colorway, but you can have so much fun with making your windows a different color, your window surround trim different color. I've done projects where I've made the eave under the under eave board. I've done that in Hardy and then painted it turquoise or light blue, or this is a Maybach trick. He did his in reds to cast this nice warm glow onto the wall, and just really have something fun and joyful to look up to. So yeah, lots of opportunity to really customize the house and make it your own without rejiggering the form too structurally to mess with the benefit of the pre-designed plan.
Well, and we do a lot of stucco and Hardy, but again, Hardy is a cement product and we're not great about concrete. We'd rather do a fire hardened wood, and there are more and more people coming in with some really beautiful treated wood material. Some of it's not super cheap, but if you're using it like Bronwyn's showing as these like wonderful pop-up details, I think it's really worth it.
Great. It looks like we have another couple of comments in the chat. Chris is wondering what size solar PV system you can fit on the upper roof sections.
So I haven't actually sized them, Chris. It's a great question, but I'm showing you can get a really decent array on both the front and the back dormer. I did this on the Sacramento project, and this actually works really well, even though the dormers have a much shallower pitch, so they catch solar from pretty much any orientation, and they also don't get shaded if you put them on the lower roof section, the dormer casts shade on them at some time or the other. So pretty sizable array. I haven't calculated the actual wattage of it though, so the kilowatt size of that. But panels are getting smarter and better all the time, and yeah, but you can easily get to Passive House Plus with this. So yeah.
And to continue with a Passive House themed question, Bronwyn, Tom's asking about the impact of future climate modeling into this. And I think that to me, when I read that question, and maybe Tom, you want to ask it yourself, but it sounds like something that's been considered in the Passive House world for a while now. And maybe we can speak a little bit to, how that future modeling is coming in.
So, Tom, one of the lovely things, it's a great question. I know it's one of your favorites. You ask. So I'm ready for you.
Good one.
Yeah, how are my grandkids going to fare in this house?
A great question.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a really good one, and we all should be asking those of our models. One of the things I always love about my PHPP, my Passive House Planning Package model, is I can look at that. I can toggle a future climate in there, and this model has been done. It was one of the entrants for the Passive House Network climate resilience house plans that we did for folks in Los Angeles. I do have the PHPP model, and I have made those tweaks to have a look and see how it fares. And again, it was modeled so that I could rotate it in 4 different directions and it still complies. But once we know what site it's on and what orientation it will be in, we can adapt shading and window glazing specs to really dial in that climate specificity. So this house plan does come with a I wouldn't say pre-approved PHPP, but a PHPP model already completed for it. So I know this will comply, but we'd have to, update the model to be specific to the site that it will be built on.
I just
to
put
get all that data.
the link in there for everybody to the catalog of all of those projects, including 2 Bronwyns that were submitted for that program.
Well, I gather you use historical weather files, but as you may know, CEC is already moving towards semi-future weather files up to like 2050 or something for the next update for Title 24.
Yeah. No, Tom, I always make sure that I also look at a future weather. You can toggle the climate data in the PHPP to do the future weather files. I don't have to rely on historical weather files.
They are developing their own files, which are more accurate, I guess, than what you may be using, which are probably just morphed on temperature only. They're developing a more multi-parameter metric type of file that's more physically accurate, I guess.
Good. Are they going to improve the air tightness for the standard code as well? Or are they going to leave that at 3?
Well, I don't think we've gotten to that point. That'll be the follow through to what happens when you use the hotter climates. So.
Yeah, no, I always talk about that as smoke tightness, and we already have that problem. So I'm looking forward to the CEC catching up to Passive House. It'd be great.
I'll try to find a link. There's a good resource, Tom. I'll try and find it before the end of this and put it in chat that explains what the Passive House Institute is using to develop their future climate modeling as well. So that could be interesting.
Is that with Graham Wright and those folks?
Different one, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll send it to you. Um, it's the international stuff out at Command Germany, so they're doing international files. But there's another question I want to get to before we wrap up here. We're towards the end. Chris, you asked, is there a big cost structural benefit to having the roof designed the way it is? For example, the pitched roof with the pop-up dormers. You want to talk about your design inspiration for that, Bronwyn, a bit?
Um, I think the cost is I don't know if there's any real benefit to this particular roof. It's it's still a relatively simple roof by California standards. So many cities I work in are wanting me to add bump outs and additional gables and all sorts of complexity. That drives me insane. This is, as roofs go, from a roofer's perspective, this is really simple single ridge and two different slopes. The flashing, there's a little bit of complexity in dealing with the flashing at these edges. But as roofs go, this is pretty basic, which is cost effective. And why I I tell my clients I've been able to get away with having standing seam metal roofs on on houses that typically wouldn't afford them because I've kept the roof simple. And when you get the quote from the roofer, it comes back cheap because you don't have multiple valleys and hips and all these additional edges and rakes. So you can you can get a better quality material if you keep your roof simple at the same cost as it would be for a standard shingle.
It's 3 o'clock.
So, yeah, that's a great question, but this one, the only magic in it is it's relatively simple, and you can see I've pulled this dormer out to align with the rear wall here. So structurally, the end of this dormer falls load directly on the exterior wall. The front dormer also falls load directly on the recess patio wall. So structurally, I'm also keeping very simple load paths. And it allowed me to also make a door and a window into that space because it's pulled back. So just very simple design moves. Trying to keep my structure simple, my load paths connected, and not too many bump outs and for all the connections become the problem areas. And the fewer you have of those, the more cost effective things are.
Lovely. Thank you, Bronwyn.
Thank
Are
you,
there any
Bronwyn.
other questions from, sorry, what'd you say, Edie?
Well, Tom had another question, and I
Oh,
wasn't
you're
sure
right.
if it was to us or to Bronwyn. So, Tom,
Oh, and there's another one from Chris as well. I didn't see those two at the end. Apologies, everybody. Yeah, Chris had asked if there's a space to put a separate HEPA filter over the HRV one to block out bushfire smoke. And Tom had asked if there's possibility to do 3 or 4 stories as well I'm guessing in a different plan.
Tom wants all the toys. Tom, I have some other designs that are not quite ready for B.Public prefab yet, but there are like 3 to 5 stories. And yeah, but not this design. So you have to wait until those get to be ready for prime time.
Oh, well, we need them for some planned developments in Davis now.
Well, I can move through them if you want to
No, no, I'm just saying.
Get me under contract and pay me for my design time. I'm happy to work for you.
Well, I'm there's developers coming in that are just doing, kind of half-ass sprawl and some multifamily. So
Yeah, well, there's lots of we connect me to them, Tom, and we'll get some passive house, 4-plex and 6-plexes
great.
prefabbed. Lots of opportunity here, but yeah.
We're ready for them. Yep, we want good infill, good height, good density, but let's make sure that they're built for a resilient future. Yeah, we all agree. If you're here, pretty sure you agree with that one. This has been
Chris,
excellent. So good. What a nice group. And we will send out the recording. Are there any last thoughts? Chris, you got up early, so you get to.
No, it was good timing, 7 a.m. for us down in Sydney. But yeah, thanks very much for the beautiful presentation, really, and great work. Love it.
fantastic to see you. Thanks for joining. And yeah, I did have we were going to share the Sustain House design that I have also already done for B.Public. Do you want to close with those slides,
Yeah, let's look
Edie?
through
Because
this.
I have, I know you put those on the deck, and it'd be, it's good to see some other options for this fabulous building system.
Bye, Tom. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys. Excellent.
Can you
Totally
all see
different,
my
but beautiful. And Tom, look at all that shading. She designed it right in.
Yep,
Oh, that's,
lots of exterior shades. That's yep.
yeah.
And another flexible floor plan for a very narrow lot. This one really can fit within a pretty narrow lot, and can also be plexed. The lower bedroom at the rear, the upper bonus space could be another bedroom and a bathroom as well. If you want to enclose that railing that overlooks the lower space, that's some opportunity to do that. And if you flip back to this this floor plan, the back bedroom 2 and the bath 2 and WC, you can just put a wall across that hall 3, and turn that into a studio 1-bedroom apartment at the back of the house. Or you can rent it out as a Airbnb by just putting that wall there and then opening it back out again. So another pretty flexible floor plan. The front bedroom and study can also become one larger room. So again, lots of flexibility without having to mess with the structural plan. And this again has been nicely optimized for B.Public system. So looking forward to seeing this one built. And yeah, would love to follow up with anybody if you have questions, and the team at B.Public is always available. So that's it. I don't know,
I
you want
think
to wrap with?
that was great. Yeah. No, we'll keep updates going, and the website is always being updated. There are logical next steps. Number one for us is always you need a piece of land. We want to almost immediately look at the feasibility of your property and this plan or the sustained plan, and that's where we start. And then we have a whole program for working through the site specific using Bronwyn's beautiful design and getting you all the way through permitting and matching you either with training for the prefab install or connecting folks to people who have worked in Passive House and have been trained to install the prefab, so that your whole team is ready to go, and ready for that great blower door test and ease. And I think it's for some folks who came on very or later in the call, the nice thing about this is with the B.Public system, this plan should go up in 4 to 6 days and be weathered in and ready for windows and doors and that roof to come on. So condensing what can be a very complicated high performance build and sequencing into a very small on-site window and being able to complete projects quite a bit faster. We say months, it depends on where you are, but it's usually 2 to 3 months faster than a traditional build. So it makes it fun. We get to let people play with Legos on site and get to high performance, adding a little bit of joy back into the process on site. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Mariana, for driving.
Sure. No problem. It's nice to see this whole design come together, and haven't gotten to work directly with you, Bronwyn, on it, but it's good to be new part of B.Public and see it happen.
Can't wait to see lots of these built. So yeah, awesome to see how this goes. So
Yeah.
thank you again. Thanks everybody for showing up, and
We'll
can't
send a
wait
little summary email out with the video recording so that you can share it with whoever you'd like, and with Bronwyn's contact info and Edie's contact info and all that good stuff. Thank you, Bronwyn.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
everybody.